Hey there guys! Today I wanted to talk a little bit about h.264 or the HEVC, which is the High Efficiency Video Codec. It's the latest successor to the old h.264, which has kind of been in use for a long time. MP4 and Blu-rays and stuff are using that. It's pretty common, but nowadays this h.265 or the HEVC is starting to come on the scene. And unfortunately, it's a very computationally complex codec and takes a lot of power to decode. And if you don't have a fast enough computer or a computer with some kind of hardware acceleration, you're gonna have a problem. So here is my home theater PC setup. Behind this door here, it's a little bit of a mess. Inside this Silverstone case here is my home theater computer. I've been using this computer for about 7 years now. It's a Intel Core i3 processor, 530 is the model number, so I mean we're talking first generation Core i3. It's pretty old. And unfortunately, while this computer, which runs 24/7 here as my home theater server, it's my home theater PC and my server, it is unable to play these HEVC or h.265 files whatsoever. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. So here I have 4 test files. These are the Jellyfish test files. You can get these from the very nice gel.yfish.us. And on here he has a whole sample of all these files here that you can download, the full resolution, both h.264 files and EVC files in both the main profile and main 10. What that means exactly is main is 8-bit encoded video, just like h.264. But the main 10, which is a 10-bit encoded file. So the color information, all the pixel information is actually 10 bits in here. So, and you can see if you look over here to the side here, we have high is the profile on the h.264, that's the old standard one, and then main and main 10. So he has a whole bunch of files, and they go all the way up to 400 megabits per second, 4K here. Most of these files have no audio, but some do. Look for the ones with the little speaker icon there. So I've downloaded a couple, and I'm going to show you what happens when I try to play these. So here's the regular h.265. This is HEVC. So this is the new style one in 3 megabits per second. And I'm going to try to play this in VLC here. So here's the file playing. Now, this actually works. My old Core i3 has enough power to play this 3 megabit 8-bit file. I don't see any frame dropping here, and this is the same sample clip in all of them. It's definitely working, but if we bring up the task manager here, you can see that this is taking everything this computer has just to play this 3 meg file. There it is, Core i3 530. Now VLC is using totally software to do decoding, no hardware acceleration. So if I try to play the 10-bit version of the 3 megabit file, so now we have the one I was playing was the 8-bit one, and here's the 10-bit one. Let's try the 10-bit one. Look what happens. It barely works. And again, CPU is just maxed out on all. It's a dual-core processor with hyper-threading, so it's just maxed out right now. Now, Windows Media Player has always been a more efficient way to play video files, just because it always uses a bit more of the capabilities of Windows. I don't know, the hardware acceleration or whatnot. To do it. So now we're playing, if I go back to Task Manager, this is the main profile. So this is 8-bit video, and it's playing, but look how it's maxing out the CPU. So I don't even know how this is really working without having a problem. But if I try to play the main 10 version, let's just take a look at what happens. I actually don't know what's going to happen here. So this appears to be working. Oh no, it's stuttering. Okay, so you can see that 4 CPUs are absolutely pegged here, but this is playing, I mean, it's just stuttering. So I won't even bother trying to play these other files. There's a 15 meg one, I downloaded a 60 megabit one. I mean, obviously the 4K is not gonna work. This processor can't even do a 4K in h.264. So I have 2 choices on what to do. I can either upgrade the processor. After doing a little research, the Skylake processors, the Intel Skylake, so that's the 6th generation Core i series, and the Pentiums as well. There's some low-cost Pentium versions. Those can play h.265 in hardware with the Intel GPU that's built into the chip, but only the main code, the main profile, so the 8-bit video. If you try to play main 10, what happens is it's a hybrid solution, so there's some hardware decoding going on and some software decoding. Skylake is kind of out because if you want to do 4K video and I want to watch this HDR Netflix and that's using H.265, I'm not going to be able to play those with the Skylake because I did some tests using Jellyfish here, and even on my Core i7 work computer, I can't play the 4K main 10 files whatsoever. They stutter and crap out and maxes out the CPU entirely. Kaby Lake, which is the 7th generation, which just came out, that can play both main and main 10 in hardware because it's got the Intel HD like 600 series graphics processor built into the chip. That has full decoding. So any of the Kaby Lake chips would absolutely work for all of these files with without any load on the CPU. Would just be cruising basically, as long as you're using hardware acceleration. To reiterate, Skylake works, but not in main 10. Kaby Lake, all the chips will do it. So I was thinking for this computer, which is old, I mean, I got this computer in 2010. I thought I could maybe buy a Kaby Lake, but I really didn't want to spend much money on this. So Skylake was out. I was gonna buy a Pentium. I don't remember the number, G4400. That's a Skylake Pentium. It costs about $60, and it's pretty fast. It has obviously those same limitations as all the Skylakes, and then a motherboard. So I was gonna spend about and you need a DDR4 memory for the new motherboard. So it was gonna be about $160 for the entire processor, RAM, and motherboard combo. But the problem is, then it'd be the same issue. There would be no ability to play that 4K files. It's just not fast enough. If my Core i7 computer, Skylake, can't do it, then obviously a low-end Pentium won't have trouble either. So Kaby Lake. Intel has announced the Pentiums, but they're just not out yet. Invariably, there'll be a $60 version of the Kaby Lake Pentium. That will work. It will work perfectly. So when that comes out, that'll be a very cost-effective way to upgrade your home theater PC to full HEVC, / h.265 main 10 playback abilities. But there's another solution. And I decided to not go the CPU upgrade route and to go a different way. So here's what I've decided to do. Basically, after doing some research, all the Pascal-based NVIDIA chips, so this is the GTX 1050, 1060, 1070, and 1080, they all have hardware decoding of HEVC or H.265, including 10-bit. So checking around, I see that the GTX 1050 came out. These cards you can actually get as low as $100 right now with a rebate, or typically more like $110, $120, depending on which version you got. Here's the card itself. Initially, my friend Dave, he suggested I get a graphics card for my home theater PC, and I was initially absolutely resistant to that because I didn't want to have any kind of additional noise, and of course there's the power consumption issue as well. But then once I noticed that the Skylake generation couldn't do the 10-bit decoding, I thought I'd look at this again. And the nice thing about the 1050, besides the fact that it's very cheap, it doesn't, and then of course it comes in this really nice compact size. Most of the cards look like this. There are some dual cooler ones which are longer, but most of them look just like this. This is a 2 GB version. There's a TI version which is faster, but what do we need that for, right? But this does not have a power connector. As you can see here, I'll give you guys a close-up. All the 1050s have this same port arrangement: DVI, HDMI, and DisplayPort. So you don't have as many as the higher end cards. It's still a dual slot solution, but as you can see here, there is no power connector, and this is pretty much standard on all of these. I think maybe there's some that do, but generally they don't have a power connector. So keep in mind that limits your overclocking potential. But again, home theater computer, I'm not overclocking this. If anything, I'm going to try to underclock this. And of course, look at this form factor. It's great, it's small, it should go in really easily. You just do the dual slots. One of the nice things is the 1050, unlike the 1060 and the higher models, is actually made on a 14 nanometer process. So probably Samsung makes this. The other ones are 16 nanometer. So this should be even lower power than the other ones. Not to mention all the reviews I've seen of this, and I haven't tried this card yet, say that the fan doesn't even spin when this card is at a lower temperature, so when it's idle or not really doing much. And that is perfect because noise is a big factor for me, power is a big factor for me. So hopefully when I use this card, I'll get the hardware decoding I want and no extra noise and minimal power usage increase. We're gonna use the kilowatt and take a look at how much power we get when we use this. All right, here's my home theater PC opened up, and there's plenty of room to install the card. And as an aside, I am switching out my 2 fans. I use 2 fans to cool this entire computer, and I had these 12 centimeter fans. These have been in the case since 2010, so they're 7 years old. They have already had problems, and I've had to remove this bearing cap here and put a little bit of bearing oil in both of them, at least one time before. And then I've redone it recently. This front fan here started making noise again. I am going to put in these new Arctic F12 silent fans. So these have fluid dynamic bearings. So that is similar to a hard drive. And all that means is a sleeve bearing with grooves cut in the bearing so it circulates oil around. Now, I think Panasonic invented the first fluid dynamic bearing, and these are some kind of knockoffs. They're not as good, they're not as expensive, but these fans weren't too much. I think they were $5 each. I am also installing rubber mounts for them. So I have one in here already, and you can see here I can move it around. It has these little things. So as a tip, to install these, you put them in the fan first, and you have to pull it through the little hole. So this is how they look. You can find them on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. It's a very soft, squishy rubber. So as you can see, there's a side that has a thicker groove and a thin. Thin is for the case, the thicker is for the fan. And the way you do it is you install them in the fan first, and you put this in here, and then you use a pair of needle nose pliers. I'm using these with the bent nose. And you basically have to pull them through. It can be a little difficult, it's a little tricky. I did this to a couple of them. See, the end is missing. These could probably still be used, but maybe not, because when you put it through, you can't pull it through. But that's the trick. And you put it up to the case, and then they will poke through, and then you just need to use needle nose pliers to pull it through the rest of the way. I'm hoping that these 2 fans in here will keep the computer nice and cool and make it silent. All right, so everything's in. As you can see, the card fits very nicely inside this machine. It doesn't take up too much space. No power connectors needed. That's fantastic. Let's put the lid on and put this back in, and I will boot it up. And all right, so I have everything installed in the computer. The new fans are nice and quiet. The video card is nice and quiet, and everything is working great. The video you see playing here is a 4K, 250 megabits per second, 10-bit stream, and I'm using the built-in Windows 10 media player. And as you can see, even on my craptastic Core i3 530, the CPU utilization is pretty darn low. I did do a test in KODI, because that's the media player I typically use, and unfortunately it was not able to play the 10-bit files. If I played the 8-bit files, it was using hardware acceleration, and the GPU was working, everything was fast. But if I tried to play any 10-bit file, it did not use hardware acceleration, and therefore, of course, my CPU is not fast enough. But Windows Media Player or the built-in Windows 10 Media Player, anything that will use hardware acceleration, will have no problem playing stuff with very low CPU usage. Another cool thing about this card is you can play YouTube in 4K, and even I have this horrible old processor. As you can see here, 4K video, 30 frames per second. It's VP9 codec, which of course is fully hardware accelerated using this Pascal NVIDIA chipset. You see that I have my crappy Core i5 or Core i3 530, and notice how low the CPU usage is on there. So that's excellent. It's nice that Chrome natively supports hardware acceleration for YouTube, and absolutely the Pascal chipset is fully compatible with that. And yes, 60 frames per second works perfectly at 4K as well. And here we go. So this particular computer here is a Core i3 530, stock cooler. I have a SanDisk 240 gigabyte solid state drive. I have a Western Digital, which is a HGST 6 terabyte yellow drive. These are the data center drives. I have 4 gigs of RAM, and I have a 380 watt power supply. It's actually a Seasonic. I thought it was an Antic, but I took a look when I was inside. But the original setup here, I was using 41 watts at idle at 121 volts. And this is with a kilowatt, so this is measured, going into the power supply. So any power supply inefficiency will be shown. And that's with no GPU, of course, and I wasn't doing anything. And then if I tried to play one of these files, it would go up to 77 watts, and of course the CPU would be 100%, and that basically didn't work. So then adding the card in, at idle, I was now at 47 watts, which that's not too bad, actually. But then playing one of these files like this 250 megabit one here results in about 52 to 70 watts at 121 volts and 5 to 15% CPU usage. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. I'm sorry there's like a reflection on the TV because it's a bright sunny day and I'm in my living room. You know, there's obviously a bit of an increase. I got 6 extra watts of power usage on this particular setup now with this EVGA card. I noticed there's no point to try to underclock this particular processor on the GPU, because if I do, it's still, the minimum clock speed is 250 megahertz no matter what you do. There's one thing I noticed, and it's specifically about this EVGA superclock card, at least this particular one. This is the GeForce 1050 superclock. This one never spins the fan down. So the GPU card has a single fan on it, as you saw when I put it in, and that fan is always running at 30%. That's the minimum speed. According to several reviews I read of this particular 1050 chipset, it does not normally run the fan unless the GPU is over 40 degrees, I think. The processor is running about 23 degrees or 26 degrees centigrade, so far under 30, and yet the fan is running. And I tried doing a custom fan profile, and it's just nothing I can do will make it go under 30. So I've opened a support ticket with EVGA. That's pretty disappointing to me. I guess I would not recommend buying one of these, because if you're going to use it in a home theater PC, why should the fan be spinning 99% of the time when you're not doing anything with the computer? It's just running, and it's going to wear out the fan. I mean, I want to use this card for years to come, and that fan will probably be worn out in, the next 3 or 4 years, and it's all integrated into the cooler assembly. And when the bearings go out, I can't fix it. This card will be useless, or I'll just have to run it without the fan connected. Anyways, that's a bit disappointing. So just keep that in mind when you get these cards. But this is a great solution for your home theater. If you want to play the latest codecs, get this card. Anyhow, if you found any of this helpful, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Feel free to post questions in the comments, or post anything in the comments if you want. And thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.